Hi, my name is Lia Meden, here to give my final project overview for Project Management Level 1 on my rice cake go-to-market strategy. I apologize in advance. I'm getting over a cold and recognize my voice is a little scratchy, so please just bear with me. First, I'd like to provide an introduction. So, the objective of this project is to develop a comprehensive marketing plan and go-to-market strategy for our rice cake business. Overall, not just for this project, but with our rice cakes, we have the goal of fueling athletes of all levels in new and flavorful ways. This healthy snack food can be eaten in a variety of ways, from a simple base for breakfast to a quick and easy pre-workout carb source. We plan to create a line of macro-friendly, innovative flavors in 2 rice cake styles, both original and puffed. You can see those at the top right. And we need to plan the branding, promotion, and marketing launch. We believe our competitive advantage will lie in our unique line of flavors, and we'd like to target the fitness audience. We are using $20,000 of our budget for our go-to-market strategy. The purpose of this project is to develop a go-to-market strategy. The project aims to introduce the product to the market, establish brand presence, and help drive sales. The description is quite similar to what I just shared, but we need to gain attraction in our audience or in our target audience, so that's why we need a marketing plan to create that brand awareness. The objective for this project is to complete a marketing plan including branding, e-marketing channels, and go-to-market strategy for our rice cakes. We want to create brand awareness, brand loyalty, customer feedback, specifically within the focus group that we'll be hosting throughout the entirety of this project, and ultimately be able to capture 10% of the market share post-launch. We have success criteria outlined for this project. So we'd like to connect with our targeted audience in an authentic way in person on social media, focusing on our flavors, our macros, wonderful snack ideas, increase our social media following, and develop brand identity and loyalty with our customers. Again, this is self-funded, and we have $20,000 planned for this. Our major deliverables include market research, brand identity, positioning, and messaging, a marketing plan, and a product launch event. Here we have a schedule for our milestones. In month 1 through 4, we'll focus on the market strategy, which will include the product market fit, target audience, competition and flavor demand, research name, and compiling all of that research into one report. During month 5, we'll focus on defining the company name and LLC and mission and vision. In month 6, we'll focus on brand identity, logo development, and brand messaging. Month 7, we'll focus on the marketing strategy and social media channels. Month 8, we'll focus on the research of the launch campaign, building awareness by developing our social media presence, and partnering with social media content creators. Then in months 9 and 10, the final months, we'll focus on finalizing our initial marketing plan, preparing all of the details for our launch event, and then executing that campaign and launch event. And that will take us through the entirety of the schedule. We have a project quality control plan in place for this project with some goals. 1, a clear and executable go-to-market strategy, increase brand awareness and customer loyalty, and growth in our social media following and engagement. And we'll also want to follow our quality control processes that we have established. We also have roles and responsibilities outlined, like owner, the partner, graphic designer, market strategist, market researcher, content creator, photographer, and event manager. Here are the quality control processes I mentioned on the last slide. So we'll have inspection procedures to make sure that our marketing materials are consistent and align with our brand goals. We'll have testing methods like conducting A/B testing for social media campaigns and gathering feedback from our focus groups. We'll also document the records for quality control activities. Then we'll have some tools in place like a go-to-market checklist to ensure all of our deliverables meet quality standards. And we'll also have social media and email platforms that help us see the analytics and performance. We'll also have continuous improvements and audits. Real-time monitoring will allow us to immediately correct any issues, and reviewing and updating will also help us to make sure that we're always improving how we're working. It's also important to us to keep reports and records to make sure that everything is documented. I've developed a work breakdown structure for this project that includes all of the work packages, the work items, part of those packages, and the roles responsible for each of those tasks. First, we'll dive into the market research. We'll conduct a consumer focus group, analyze competitor strategies, define the product market fit, research target audience, competition and flavors, name options, compile that report, and then as you'll see, we have review as the final step in each of these work packages, which is part of our quality process. Next is new business tasks. We'll identify our LLC and company name, define our mission, vision, and review all of that. Then we'll get into the brand development, create a brand identity, design a logo, develop brand messaging, and go through a review for each of those. Next is the marketing plan. So we'll develop a marketing strategy, a social media presence, and build a campaign that includes both messaging and creative, and review all of that. Finally is to launch the event. So we need to make sure we have our event logistics coordinated, coordinate with influencers for that event, and review the plan. Then we'll have our final prep and execute the event, which will include event management, social media prep, and day of event execution. And that also aligns really nicely with the responsibility assignment matrix. And this helps to track the roles and responsibilities. There's a primary and support role. So the primary, of course, they're the ones mainly in charge of each of these tasks. And then there are roles that will also support that task. Here is a snapshot of the network diagram during the first phase of my project from Microsoft Project. This is a helpful view that pictures the tasks, dependencies, and critical path of the project. And you can see it represents tasks and tasks dependencies using boxes and lines. And it helps to visualize all the components and how they interconnect with one another. And here I just have a quick snapshot of the end of my project, and you can see it has my day of execution tasks towards the end. The Gantt chart is an incredibly helpful view in Microsoft Project because it shows the time frame and the owner of each task, when they will complete each of those tasks. It also helps everyone to stay well informed. You can easily communicate the project plan with your team. It also helps to prevent resource overloading and ultimately track the progress of this project. And again, the red is the critical path. Here's a snapshot of the resource usage sheet that outlines each of the resources and the hours that are dedicated to each of their tasks. within specific time frames. So here you can see the time necessary for the market researcher, market strategist, and owner within this certain time frame. The resource sheet shows the number of resources, what they entail, and the cost for each of those. So for instance, we have a standard rate for the market researcher, market strategist, graphic designer, and event manager. The owner and partner will not be paid, and the content creator is volunteering. Then majority of the material costs, like the logo, banner, table and chairs, electricity and Wi-Fi, those are for the day of event. Similar to the resource sheet in Microsoft Project, we've created an estimated activity cost that outlines the total cost, for each of the work items. And there is a contingency reserve that I've placed under day of event that accounts for 10% of the total budget, so $2,000. And the total estimated activity cost is $17,534.13. Here we have the cash flow and work overview. Similar to the estimated activity costs, we have the cash flow here that also shows $17,534.13 for the project. And for each of the work packages, we have the remaining costs outlined. So for market research, new business tasks, brand development, marketing plan, and the launch event. And then we also have the work overview that shows the amount of work that is necessary for each of those. To make sure we are prepared for whatever may come our way, even though we know that there are unseen hurdles that come up, we've developed a risk assessment matrix for this plan. So some of these risks could be low participation in the initial focus group, inconsistent brand identity, influencers not willing to partner with us, and there are impacts with each of those. So let's look at the low participation in the focus group, for instance. That steers the planning team in the wrong direction when it comes to what our total audience is looking for in our brand. The likelihood of this occurring is medium, the degree of impact is medium, and the action on triggers that less than 70% of our focus group is in attendance. The responsibility lies with the market researcher, and the response plan is to ultimately reschedule and offer some sort of incentive to boost engagement in the future. And that's just one example of the necessary steps we would take in case of seeing any of these risks pop up. By following this detailed and scheduled plan with the estimated costs, responsibility matrix, and risk assessment, our team will be well prepared to launch our rice cakes business with this go-to-market strategy. We will complete the project within budget, estimated at $17,534.13, and on time, roughly 10 months' time, preparing to launch our product at a local bodybuilding show to everyday lifters, competitors, and spectators with access to try, buy, learn about our product, and follow us on social media, helping us to achieve our goals we set out for this project.